Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered why many Arab countries in the Middle East seem so worried about Iran? When you look at the news, you constantly hear about tensions between Iran and countries like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and other Gulf states. Sometimes it's about military threats. Sometimes it's about nuclear weapons. And sometimes it's about influence and power across the entire region. But the real question is this: how did Iran go from being relatively isolated to becoming one of the most powerful and feared countries in the Middle East? And why do many Arab governments believe Iran poses a serious threat not only to them, but potentially to the stability of the entire region? Today in this video, we're going to explore the story behind this tension, starting from history, moving through political revolutions, wars, and power struggles, all the way to the present day. So if you want to understand why Iran has become such a powerful force in Middle Eastern politics, make sure to watch this video until the end. On this channel, we explore interesting facts about countries, global politics, cultures, and the hidden stories shaping our world today. If you're curious about how different countries influence the world and what's really happening behind global headlines, you're definitely in the right place. And if you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow and allows more people to discover these kinds of discussions. Now, let's jump into the story. To really understand this rivalry, we have to rewind the clock. We can't just look at modern politics, we have to look at identity. For centuries, there has been a deep cultural and historical divide between the Persians, who make up modern-day Iran, and the Arabs, who populate countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and the Gulf states. Iran is not an Arab country. They speak Farsi, not Arabic. On top of that cultural split, there's a religious one. Both are Islamic, but the Arab world is overwhelmingly Sunni, while Iran is the heavyweight champion of Shia Islam. For a long time, these differences were just background noise. Under the rule of the Shah of Iran in the mid-20th century, Iran actually had decent, if cautious, relationships with its Arab neighbors. The Shah was pro-Western, backed by the United States, and focused on modernizing his country. But everything changed in 1979. This is the turning point, guys. The year that broke the Middle East. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution happened. The pro-Western Shah was overthrown, and a man named Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini took power, turning Iran into an Islamic republic. Now, why did this freak out the Arab countries? Because Khomeini didn't just want to rule Iran, he wanted to export his revolution. He openly called for the citizens of neighboring Arab countries, especially those with Shia populations like Iraq, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, to rise up and overthrow their own kings and dictators. Imagine being a wealthy Saudi royal, and suddenly your massive, heavily armed neighbor is actively telling your citizens to drag you out into the street. The panic was real, and the Arab states immediately went into self-defense mode. This panic led directly to one of the most brutal and defining conflicts of the 20th century, the Iran-Iraq War. In 1980, hoping to crush the new Iranian government before it could spread its revolution, Iraq's dictator, Saddam Hussein, invaded Iran. And here is where the story gets really crucial for understanding Iran today. Almost the entire Arab world, funded heavily by Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, backed Iraq. The United States and Western powers also backed Iraq. Iran was completely alone. They had no allies, no supply lines, and their military was still in chaos from the revolution. Yet, Iran fought back with everything they had. The war lasted for 8 agonizing years. It was a meat grinder, featuring trench warfare and chemical weapons, and it left hundreds of thousands of Iranians dead. But Iran survived. That experience of fighting the entire world single-handedly permanently changed the Iranian mindset. The leadership in Tehran learned a massive lesson. They could never rely on anyone else, and conventional warfare against a united Arab and Western front was a losing game. They needed a new way to fight. They needed a way to hurt their enemies without fighting them face to face. And that brings us to the present day and the exact reason why Arab nations are losing sleep over Iran right now. Because Iran couldn't buy advanced fighter jets or massive tanks due to heavy global sanctions, they decided to build something else, a shadow empire. They call it the Axis of Resistance. Instead of using their own soldiers, Iran spends billions of dollars funding, training, and arming proxy militias all over the Middle East. Let's look at the map. In Lebanon, right on Israel's border, Iran created and funds Hezbollah, an organization with a missile arsenal bigger than many official European militaries. In Yemen, right on Saudi Arabia's southern border, Iran backs the Houthi rebels. The Houthis have literally fired Iranian-made drones and missiles directly into Saudi oil facilities, completely bypassing billions of dollars of Saudi air defenses. In Iraq and Syria, Iran funds dozens of Shia militias that effectively control the politics and streets of those countries. This is the genius and the terror of the Iranian playbook. They have effectively surrounded their biggest Arab rivals, mainly Saudi Arabia and the UAE, with heavily armed proxy armies. If Saudi Arabia wants to attack Iran, Iran doesn't even have to launch a jet. They just make a phone call, and missiles start raining down on Saudi cities from Yemen or Iraq. Arab countries are terrified because they are fighting an enemy they can't punch back. Iran has successfully pushed its borders thousands of miles outward, turning Arab capitals like Beirut, Baghdad, Damascus, and Sana'a into their own personal chessboards. But the fear isn't just about regional proxies anymore. The reason Iran is viewed as a global threat, the reason you hear American and European politicians talking about them constantly, comes down to two major things: choke points and uranium. First, let's talk about the choke points. Iran sits right on the edge of the Strait of Hormuz. About 20% of the world's total oil supply passes through this narrow stretch of water every single day. Iran has repeatedly threatened that if they are ever attacked, they will mine the strait and shut it down. If that happens, global gas prices would skyrocket overnight, economies would crash, and the whole world would feel the pain. They hold the global economy hostage as a massive shield. And finally, the ultimate fear, the nuclear program. For over 2 decades, the world has watched nervously as Iran enriches uranium. Iran claims their nuclear program is entirely peaceful, meant for energy and medicine. But Western intelligence, Israel, and the Arab states look at Iran's secret underground bunkers and highly advanced centrifuges and see a country sprinting toward a nuclear bomb. For an Arab nation like Saudi Arabia, a nuclear-armed Iran is a literal doomsday scenario. If Iran gets the bomb, it permanently shifts the balance of power in the Middle East. Arab countries fear they would be forced to bow to Iranian demands forever, or worse, be dragged into a catastrophic nuclear arms race in the most unstable region on Earth. So, to bring it all together, why are the Arab countries so afraid? Because Iran isn't just a noisy neighbor. They are a deeply ideological state that survived a brutal war of isolation, learned how to fight in the shadows, built a ring of heavily armed militias around their enemies, and are inching closer to a nuclear weapon. They have fundamentally outplayed many of their richer, Western-backed Arab rivals through patience and asymmetric warfare. The Middle East is a powder keg, and right now, Iran is holding the matches. It's a situation that isn't going away anytime soon, and understanding this history is the only way to make sense of the headlines we see every day. What do you guys think? Will the Arab nations and Iran ever find a way to coexist, or is a larger conflict completely inevitable? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I read all of them. If you learned something new today, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the geopolitics that shape our world. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.